All right, welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, with Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everybody.
And today we're going to go over what the heck happened last night, and to a certain extent is still happening right now as we speak. The single largest unmitigated disaster I can think of in my adult lifetime politically, possibly second only to the Obamacare rollout. Although I got to tell you, I think this is bigger because when you completely botch a political election, the political mistrust garnered by the people is worse than botching the rollout of a piece of legislation or a government program. You know what I'm saying? Like, elections need to be so transparent and untouchable that they are unimpeachable if you expect the confidence of the people. We don't care about as much, you know, everybody knows bureaucrats are kind of idiots, so government programs are really slow. So if you screw up a program, that's one thing, but you can't screw up the election. And Democrats found a way to not just screw it up, but to keep screwing it up to such a degree that we're actually putting together who's cheating or who's not. It's crazy. So our first video will be what the heck happened last night. Cody, tell our fans what on earth just happened to us.
Yeah. So anyway, what you're referring to last night, the Iowa had their caucus. So it was the first primary of the 2020 primary season in the state of Iowa. The way the process was supposed to go, about 5 p.m. local time, people were going to be showing up to their local caucus locations. They will be doing their weird, bizarre, antiquated method of voting where everyone gets together and decides who they're going to vote for and they realign. We've done a couple of videos on that. We can go into it, but so much stuff happened in the night in question. Don't want to go into it. Then what happened was, well, I guess you could describe it as nothing. Results were not reported until it's currently noon local time, 12:20 local time in Iowa. No results have been reported. However, there is some good news. So we'll get to the good news first, then we'll get into what Cardin was talking about with what actually happened last night because, I mean, truth be told, who knows yet? We'll probably find out in the next few days. But for the most part, the good news is we are expecting to get results today. Sorry, I'm trying to pull it up for you guys, but they are expecting to release, I've heard between, so even the good news is rough. Maybe 50% to a majority of the results are to be coming out later today. That's the best I've heard. I wish better. Washington Post is reporting it as they release results by 5 p.m. Eastern. However, I've heard that might be a majority of votes or at least over 50. I've heard multiple things as to what that is. So we are going to get some clarity later. But what actually happened right now? A couple of things happened, and I guess I'll run this. I want to run this clip for you guys.
A couple of things happened, yeah. But
I want to run this clip really quick.
Like a shotgun, a cluster bomb of things happened.
Exactly, but listen to this. This was a very fitting moment. This was a reporter caught on a hot mic from NBC News. So it's only a few seconds long, but you can hear in the background them speaking in the truck, and you can hear how they're describing what happened last night, because I couldn't put it better myself, so I'm just going to run this for a few seconds.
Mike Bloomberg factor, which is the fact that he's now waiting in the wings, waiting in Super Tuesday. Mike Bloomberg factor, which is the fact that he's now waiting in the wings, waiting in Super.
Oh my God, what an effing disaster. That was 9:47 local time, by the way, when they released this. They didn't send people home till, I believe, a little after 11. So it was about an hour and a half till people are actually being told that there will be no results today. So now let's get back to what happened last night. So there's actually a New York Times article that does a pretty good job cataloging what actually happened chronologically, because then we have to get into the actual what is going on. So it's a pretty good article here. We'll walk through it. This is a system-wide disaster, how the Iowa caucuses melted down. Unexplained inconsistencies in results, heated conference calls, and firm denials of hackings left the contest in a strange state of almost suspended animation. Interesting way of phrasing it, yeah. I thought it was funny. Someone commented on, someone put a tweet out, and they said, Wolf Blitzer's been telling me they expect the results soon for the last 90 minutes. That was literally what happened last night. Everyone was just, well, they have to be coming out eventually.
Well, Wolf Blitzer's a liar. He's going to keep saying stuff for ratings. You don't want to say, hey, guys, just chill out. It's not until 2 a.m. that we're going to get. You just check in the morning.
But here's the thing.
Stop watching our commercials.
But the thing is, the Democrats didn't even tell anyone that, though. It's not like that was the news, and they were like, but maybe it was like literally like you would look around and there was no official response. And we're going to get to a little bit of reasons as to what possibly could have happened. Now, I want to shout out this guy right at the top. Sean Bagniewski, I believe. He recognized immediately. So for those of you guys who are a little unaware of what's going on last night, one of the main reasons why this reporting became such a massive or such a massive deal and was so awful was they decided to move to a app for reporting. Normally they wouldn't use an app. People just call in the results because, hey, if you could just tell somebody who's the few delegates are assigned to, that's all you have to do. But anyway, they decided to move to the app this year for reporting. And by all accounts, it was a failure on multiple levels. So we'll go through and explain it. So this Mr. Bagniewski's, according to him, it wasn't so much. Here we go. So Sean Bagniewski saw the problems coming. It wasn't so much that the new app that the Iowa Democratic Party had planned to use to report its caucus's results didn't work. Well, it didn't work. It was that people were struggling to even log in or download it in the first place. After all, they had never even been any app-specific training for this many precinct chairs. So last Thursday, the chairman of the Democratic Party in Polk County, Iowa, decided to scrap the app entirely, instructing his precinct chairs to simply call in the caucus results as they had always done. The only problem was, when the time came during Monday's caucuses, those precinct chairs could not connect with party leaders via phone. Those reports of people being left on hold for over an hour and then immediately hung up on. That was great. Mr. Bagniewski instructed his executive director to take pictures of the results with their smartphone and drive them over to the Iowa Democratic Party headquarters to deliver them in person. What a novel concept. Just drive the results to them physically. Of course, it's then been reported that she was turned away without explanation. So I don't even know if they know what they don't know, Mr. Bagniewski said at the state's party shortly before 2 a.m. on Tuesday. What's really funny is I read a Politico article quoting the same gentleman posted about 1 p.m. yesterday where he said, I just hope we get the results before 1 a.m. Wow, if only he knew. If only he knew he wouldn't be getting the results 1 p.m. of the next day. So that was part of it. So anyway, so what happened is, there we go. A system-wide disaster, said Derek Eden, a former Iowa Democratic chairman. Amid the chaos and confusion, there were conflicting candidates' speeches declaring various degrees of victory. As Senator Bernie Sanders' campaign released its own set of favorable partial results, they did, and multiple campaigns hoped that the mess would not lessen the eventual impact of what they said appeared to be a disappointing first test for former Vice President Joseph R. Biden Jr. Pete Buttigieg has some interesting comments after the night was over, by the way. We'll get to those later.
Some interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, we pegged and predicted those. We'll probably talk about this in the next video, but we pegged and predicted those comments coming out hours before they came out. So
exactly.
Anyway,
yeah.
keep going.
So we'll keep on with that. But anyway, this is a decent enough graphic from the New York Times that breaks it down for the most part, which is basically there's two main ways we're going to report. Main ways of reporting from the individual precincts to the headquarters to count, right? The mobile app was the new method, which most people didn't install, didn't know how to use. And then, by the way, the Iowa Democrats reported didn't work anyway. So even if you downloaded it and figured it out, doesn't matter, it didn't work. So everybody rushed to the phones to call in, and then the phone lines are jammed up, and then we can get through the phone lines. There was so much chaos reported. I want to make sure if this is an article I quoted it from here, but I believe at one moment, one of the earlier reporting precincts, they got their reporting in early, so there wasn't as much confusion on the phone lines, then received a call from a frantic woman a few hours later desperately asking for their results. They're like, oh, I gave them to you. And like, oh, yep, you're right. Sorry, moving on. I mean, just to kind of get a snapshot of how ridiculous it was backstage. I mean, they didn't even know whose votes they already had. They were just scrambling for anything, according to some reports. And it's... I think this was... here's one of the ones I wanted to highlight as well, just to get an idea of kind of the chaos that was going on. So they say here, Mr. Simonson said that he had spent nearly 3 hours trying to report results on Monday. At one point, he received one call from a state party official who was in a very loud room and screamed at me about wanting a precinct ID number, but couldn't hear my reply over the din in the room. While I was talking to him, Mr. Simonson said in an email, my call on the other line, holding for 90 minutes, was answered and hung up. It's like, the one thing is, like, this guy have a corded phone. He couldn't just walk into a less loud area. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like there's nowhere. Sorry, it's just so loud I can't hear you, man. I gotta go. I mean, but again, just kind of that was the chaos we're having. We're having people just getting random calls. No one can even hear. I love that description. Somebody just screaming at him for his precinct ID. I mean, and then what's kind of sad, not sad, but disheartening to see is a political organization get to that point. Like I said, if they had just said immediately, okay, this is not working, and they had communicated early on in the evening, don't expect results tonight, everyone go home, we're going to sort this out, we have some errors to address here. But they didn't. They kind of strung people along and said, they did this for hours. People frantically trying to call in, frantically trying to get onto the other line. That's why the reporter described it as, oh my God, what an effing disaster. Because it seemed like one of those things where, I don't know, you probably have a better analogy for this than me, Cardin, but like, when something's going wrong and it's like man, you got to walk away and just like, approach this differently. You see someone just keep doubling down and going and going. Like nobody said, okay, look, we can't even get the phone lines in. The calls are so jammed. We got to settle things down. Don't even try to get results out. Like by all accounts, it was absolute madness backstage for hours and hours and hours until it was basically 11 a.m. or 11 p.m. local time. And they're like, look, this is getting out of hand. We have to call it. At that point, even then, it was communicated individually to some campaigns and then disseminated out. The last thing I want to get to, though, it's the last story I want to highlight here. Okay. As far as what was going on last night. Because I'm going to get into more of why did the app fail, weird stuff like that. But this is, again, that's why this New York Times article is a really good article. I'll have it in the links so you guys can get it. But just... this is a very accurate, from what we were seeing, watching all this stuff last night, this sounded pretty accurate. So They say at 10:26 p.m., the Iowa Democratic Party issued a longer statement. This is when they eventually did issue a statement.
Yeah, I remember reading that.
Again, 10:26 p.m. was when they started telling people they're finding inconsistencies in the reporting of the 3 sets of results. This is simply a reporting issue. The app did not go down. This is not a hack or an intrusion. The underlying data and paper trail is sound and will simply take time to further report the results, which, again, some of that proved to not be true either. However, this was interesting. Around that time, the state party tried to brief the campaign in a phone call. It did not go well. Party officials mostly reiterated their public statements that the delays were related to issuing 3 numbers per precinct for the first time. Party officials hung up after being pressed for more by the campaigns, according to 2 people on the call. That's the last thing that it seemed like it was less that they were having issues reporting and more that things started seeming out of control. Because we were talking before, I would be absolutely livid if I was trying to run a presidential campaign, and hours after we get nothing from the state, they finally issue a press release. I read it and go, okay, so are they gonna? Let's find out what they mean by this. They give us a call, and then you ask them, can you elaborate? And they say no. I'm surprised the state officials hung up on the campaigns. The campaigns didn't hang up on them. I mean, that just sounds so disrespectful. Like, why are you even calling me to just tell me what I already know?
Well,
and this the last thing though, the last statement here. Sorry, but this was really good. This really got this. So I like whoever wrote this. Mention here that at 1 a.m. local time, Democratic Party chairman of the Iowa Democratic Party, Troy Price, made a statement. He said, spoke for less than a minute. We are validating every piece of data we have against our paper trail. The system is taking longer than expected, but just in place to ensure we eventually are able to report results with full confidence. But this is the line. By then, most of the candidates were wheels up and on their way to New Hampshire. That is the lasting impact of this. No one cares anymore. Everyone has said, Iowa, this is disgusting what you just did. I can't believe how poorly you managed this. Like I said, wheels up to New Hampshire. See you never. Never come back. That part of the primary is over. And honestly,
and the sad thing is now all of the spoiled attention of the Iowans is boom, done. We used you. Off.
Well, I was going to say, I'm fairly confident this is the last time they vote first in the primary.
You think so?
There's been reports for years. I don't know if the article's pulled up. There's been reports for years of obviously other states gunning for that coveted. You get how much attention?
Well, but they could just change their own constitution like California did. I don't know why California didn't become an early state and it settled for Super Tuesday. Because if we're voting on having an earlier election, why stop on Super Tuesday? Why not go to the day before the Iowa caucuses? You know,
but it's just after this, it's kind of a hard pitch to both parties that you should be the one voting first. I mean, they don't have to campaign there. They could just say, "Fine, you vote first, whatever." I mean, like there's a certain relationship these parties have with the state of Iowa because when it votes, and if this is how you're treated, like I said, it's 10:37 p.m. Doors opened at 5. Can I finally get some information, please? No, we can't elaborate beyond the public state. It was handled so terribly, the communication. Like I said, the same series of events with better communication.
But you're not just going to give up all of the necessary momentum that Iowa would give you because you're angry about the election some other candidate had last cycle.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is, it's what momentum if it's no one's going to respect the party. There's no politics.
Oh, you mean on? Like, yeah, if they can't get the results out before the New Hampshire.
Well, they will have the results out. Like I said, they're reporting to have the results out. They're reporting to have them out in the next 4 hours or so, 3 hours or so. So they're going to have them out. The larger point I mean is that like this makes the Democratic Party look bad, the national party, even though it's the Iowa Democrats it is. And they're not going to just be like, well, you guys made us look like absolute morons, and you made this this is big. You know what's funny? I was talking about yesterday. There was the little graph that was published a couple of days ago, and it showed that on average, the Iowa caucus was covered about 10 minutes per newscast. Which is...
That's a lot.
No, it was about 15, like 3-hour newscast, I think.
I see
on
what you're saying.
average, you
Okay.
could expect 22 to 44 minutes.
So in a
on the
3-hour
previous thing.
newscast, 10 minutes isn't a lot.
Yeah.
But on like a 1 hour, that's a
Yeah.
fourth of your program.
But I mean, like, just in compared to the last 12 years or so,
Okay.
considerably less than normal. 2016, it was like 55. But everyone's talking about the Iowa caucus now. So that's good. The only bad news is everyone's talking about how incompetent and foolish the people who ran it looked. And that isn't the kind of thing where in 2024, Democrats are just like, well, we'll just give you another shot, I guess. Because there is other states. I believe Illinois already is saying they want to jump up and be the first state to vote now.
Yeah.
'Cause,
And
I mean-
they could. All they have to do is have a state convention to meet. Like, I've never understood the power that these early 4 states have and how spoiled Iowa gets. It's just like that small town in Arkansas where the Walmart headquarters are. Every major multinational corporation, everything from small socks manufacturers to large, Troy Belt, like any major corporation has an office there. So they have a presence in this town. So this tiny, obscure Arkansas town is spoiled with corporations that are trying to get in good with people because they know that everybody's a Walmart employee. They know that everybody is ultimately somehow involved with the decision-making process of what products Walmart carries. And so this small, obscure Arkansas town gets totally spoiled with all these goodies from worldwide corporations simply because they're where the headquarters of Walmart is. Well, the second Walmart moves its headquarters, now that other town's going to get spoiled, right? Well, here's the difference in politics. Iowa is getting spoiled just like that small town that's the Walmart headquarters. But any other state could vote to be an early voting state. They could vote to be the same day or even a day before. Like there's nothing stopping Hawaii from literally meeting as a state legislature, introducing a bill that says we want to amend the state constitution.
No one would go anyway.
What do you mean no one would go anyway?
We're talking about, you want to campaign in Hawaii? Cool. That's the only place you're campaigning. How far do you have to fly from Hawaii to the next place to campaign in America? It's just logistically
Okay,
awful.
fine. Look, let's just say we said Texas, Alabama. Alabama
I think there is.
could literally change its state constitution with a 2/3 vote in their state legislature to become the February 1st.
Yeah, but there's got to be a reason
Primary.
why. There's got to be a reason why.
No, it's just because the state legislatures don't mean to amend their constitutions. When we voted on changing the electoral date, okay, we were literally, it was just a vote for the people. And as long as the people voted for it, we changed to Super Tuesday. But why not change to February 1st, the day before the Iowa caucuses, so everybody tries to spoil California instead of spoiling Iowa?
Oh, I guess I don't think anyone will be spoiling Iowa anymore because after this was really. And again, it's mostly just messaging. If they just told people there's issues, because then we'll get a little bit into it. We'll probably do another video talking larger about this, just because it's a deep topic. We can probably go on for a long time about it. But there's the other problem you have to get into. If you guys remember, there was a app that they were using to report, and that app is what caused the issues. Well, here's where we get into the awful, lovely government corruption part of this thing. So. A lot of people are saying a lot of different things, that they're trying to rig it or hack it. I'll talk more in depth in another thing, but we'll go in a little bit about this. So who is behind this app, right? A lot of people all of a sudden want to know who is behind this app, what's going on. So there is an app created by a tech firm run by veterans of Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign is taking heat for the unprecedented delay in reporting Democratic caucus results from Iowa. Results from Monday's caucuses could not be transmitted to Iowa's party headquarters, and State Democratic Party Chairman Troy Price blamed the problem on a coding error, so them. While our plan to release results as soon as possible today, our ultimate goal is to ensure that the integrity and accuracy of the process continues to be upheld. I wonder if he's implying that the integrity and accuracy are not being upheld in the app. Anyway, confusion among caucus organizers over how to use the app also seemed to contribute, as we mentioned before. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The firm behind the app reportedly is Shadow, an affiliate of Acronym, a Democratic nonprofit founded in 2017 to educate, inspire, register, and mobilize voters.
Which means to be, that's just the crap you put in the 501c4 or the 501c3 or whatever corporate paperwork you file. That really means just to be a shill for the DNC. But yeah, keep going.
But what's interesting is they go on to mention that Shadow started off as Groundbase, a tech developer co-founded by Gerard Niemera and Krista Davis, who worked for the tech team on Clinton's campaign for 2016 Democratic nomination.
So the people that conspired with the DNC, as revealed in the Podesta email scandal, to screw Bernie Sanders are now the same people making the app in the 2020 election cycle. And we're supposed to believe they're not trying to screw somebody, right?
Well, like I said, I honestly don't think they're trying to, screw anybody. I think what we're seeing here for them really is that, not trying to screw anybody so much as what's going on is they're having really, really, really big issues with, sorry, just pressed the wrong buttons. No, they're having really big issues with this is like a different kind of corruption to me. They're trying to rig the election. It's just paying your friends. Hey, can you make an app for us? Can you definitely make us this app? And I think what happens is you get this, man. You get something that doesn't work. It was rushed out. I mean, there's a lot of reports that it actually, one of the reasons why they weren't able to train people on the app is because it wasn't ready.
It wasn't ready until the day before.
Yeah. So, again, we can go do a whole video talking about this app, but I just wanted to say this is where it starts. It starts with what it seems to be. And like I said, it seems like corruption. What kind? To me, it's the kind of corruption where, here we go. It's the kind of corruption where a couple of state parties send a couple of their friends, former Clinton people, $60,000 to make an app. And then the app doesn't work, and it wasn't programmed correctly. It wasn't ran out correctly. I love that. The way that they described it, they said there was coding errors that made it so the app only reported partial numbers. The way I understand it, this app literally had one function, and that was to report the numbers. It's like, it's a calculator, but you only get it just rounds up the numbers. You don't get accurate. It's like, what's the point of the thing?
It doesn't work at all. Fiverr. I could go on Fiverr and have a team of Filipino or Indian coders for pennies on the dollar make this app probably overnight. If I just sent a description that said, hey, I need a team of 5 coders really fast to make me an app that anybody can log into with a username and password.
It wouldn't need to be secure, though.
And then report numbers. Oh, yeah, so fine. So I got 2 coders doing the encryption.
I think
I got 2 doing the formatting, and I got a 3rd doing the design and the color scheme. They would literally have it pumped out in one of their 12-hour work days on the other side of the globe, so when I woke up in the morning, it's freaking ready. This is the simplest app I've ever heard of in my life.
Hold on. You don't get to pay your friends $30,000, though, if you do that.
Exactly.
You don't get to I believe Pete Buttigieg, and like I said, well, you know what? I'll save that for another time, just because this video will go on for 55 minutes otherwise. So yeah, there's that. I hope that kind of helps sum up a little bit what happened last night, where essentially there was complete chaos in the Iowa headquarters. The app they rolled out last minute didn't work. People weren't trained on it. One of the big issues, I don't think I pulled it up, one of the major issues was, there's people estimating that maybe 60 to 70% of these precinct heads weren't even installing the app and just had planned to call in anyway. And said, yeah, I'll use the app, and just tried to call, which led to all the phone lines jamming. I mean, just failure after failure after failure after failure. You know what? I'll let one last person sum up what happened last night, and that's Joe Biden's campaign released a statement. And I thought it was pretty funny, so. I want to grab it really quickly. Where is it? Oh, I'm trying to grab it. Anyway, Joe Biden referred to the failures that we saw last night, and I guess Biden.
And it was a spicy letter. Well, it wasn't Joe Biden. It was technically his general counsel.
But this is what he said. The app that was intended to relay caucus results to the party failed. The party's backup telephonic reporting system likewise has failed. Now we understand that caucus chairs are attempting to, and in many cases failing to, report results telephonically to the party. These acute failures are occurring statewide, and they were correct. So that is what we saw happen last night. Again, we're going to get results, probably most of them. It's crazy. Like, over 50%.
Supposedly by 2 o'clock today.
Well, I am expecting to get numbers before 5 p.m. Eastern. How much, though? Is it half? Is it well over half? Is it 80%? Is it 97.8? We're waiting for a few precincts. We don't know, but we will be getting some results by 2 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific.
All right. So anyway, let us know what you guys think. Let us know if there was any additional information that you know of that we skipped. If you're a precinct captain, hey, we'd love to hear from primary sources what was happening in your precinct. We've heard from many of the precinct captains in the areas where just Yang wasn't viable, and they said, yeah, we counted up, we closed up shop, and we left. So let us know. If you've got a good story, please comment below. If you can, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, and make sure you follow us on Monday nights and on Thursday nights for our regular live streams, unless we have something cool like the Iowa Caucus, where we live streamed last night. So anyway, let us know what you guys think. Follow us on Twitter at PSP Radio 1. This is Problem Solver Politics. Wu-Tang, baby.